Okay, my great friends, sometimes things just work out fabulously. This is a geology page, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm blocked at 99% everywhere, and I applaud them for letting me at least comment. Now, they're showing this. They're calling it red-white swirls of sandstone in White Pocket, Utah. Now, this is geology, they claim, and I claim it's biology. And I'll show you why. And I was able to also say something that enormous is just beyond belief. I agree. But we just came back from Bennu, which is an asteroid with a sample of something that's also biology. All right, I'm amazed that they allow me to post and comment, which is nice, but I don't know if anybody's seeing these things because I never get any replies, so who knows. All of these are little membrane layers of tissue, and they pass different types of fluids and chemistry through them into the red blood that takes it to bring it around through the body. This is not pillow basalt. That is some form of a coating around the membranes that are inside the digestive system. I believe this is somewhere in the digestive system. And I'll talk about this in a minute. That's from Asteroid Bennu. This right here, that's Vermilion Cliffs. That's up in that same area. And this is the same sort of red blood running off of some kind of stomach tissue or intestinal tissue or whatever. But whatever was there was a giant creature and got scraped right out of there, causing the Grand Canyon and right into the guts. Every civilization there's ever been has talked about the earth being made out of Tiamat's head or some body part or whatever, bodies. Jesus said, whoever has come to know the world has discovered a carcass. That's what I'm showing. These are stupendously large bits and pieces of body parts. This is some kind of tissue. And they actually came back from Bennu with a sample of stuff, and I believe it's bodily tissue as well. Okay, my friends, this, as far as I'm concerned, is layers of tissue, and this is the membrane that allows things to pass through this way and so forth. It's like, I called it fascia facilitated fossilization. This is basically fascia, it's coating, it's membranes. Now, I show a lot of places on Earth. This is on Vermilion Cliffs. This is in that same area. And it's torn away because it was gouged out by a fiery comet almost hitting Earth or hitting Earth in the Grand Canyon, and it just ripped it right down to the guts of the corpse. All right, we live on a corpse. Look at this. These are blocks of skin. That's a guy laying on a block of skin. It's a 21 and a half feet square. But that's skin. That's how big these creatures were that made the corpse up of the earth. You see this? I showed you the tissue layers here. This is one I have in my shop. These aren't as flat as those, but these are the same sort of layers of tissue. And this is muscle. All right, this is muscle. That part is tendon, and it goes back to the round shoulder, which I'll show you in a second. This red blood ran off out of the arteries that service muscle. Muscle takes a ton of blood, and it gets there's a lot of connective tissue here until it gets out further, and then it turns into the actual muscle of bundles of muscle. And here you got more connective tissue. But this is where that shoulder, I believe it's a shoulder, I'm not sure. And that, it would be right up here. You see, this is going here. That round spot right there is this round spot right here. So these layers of tissue look like layers, you know, of sediment, but they're not. If you have any ability to think, I mean, for goodness sake, they're not going to be that consistent layers of perfectly preserved. And there's going to be areas in here. Now, I don't know what's going on here, but veins and arteries are going to have areas that are a little bit different than just the standard layers. Because you have to have blood vessels going through everywhere. And where they go through, they're going to create, eventually, caves. The red blood runs right out, and you end up with a cave. And I go searching through these caves all the time. I don't go personally myself, but people are giving nice videos of these cave adventures they're going through. It's fabulous. So I don't have to go out and do this. And I have DNA tested, CAT scanned giant creatures' body parts here. This is the grip skin, same as this skin here. All right, these are sweat pores. Those are sweat pores. That is the thickness of a layer of ridge in your fingerprints. My thumb is about as wide as one layer. Now the nail was up here. And this was DNA tested. I broke this off. I literally broke that off of there so I could get down inside and get red blood out of there, which I did. And it was almost, you know, it was dense with red blood, basically. You know, it was powdery, that type of thing. And I sent it off, and it was DNA tested. And it's human mitochondrial DNA. I have the DNA test. I want chat to change, to say, I do have evidence for the things I'm talking about. I'm not just talking without any evidence. I have the body parts, I have the DNA tests, I have CAT scans, and this they know right now. The stuff they came back from Bennu. That's actual sarcomeres of muscle, and they pinch. And you can see bundles of them right in here. And they have layers, which is the layer here, then the sarcomeres. Another layer here, then sarcomeres. And then another layer, and then sarcomeres, and on. That's because they have to slide in between those layers. And there's the layers I've been showing you everywhere. Everything has to slide in between each other. And that's what they found inside the heart muscle. That's muscle. And that muscle is the same as this heart muscle right here. And that's from a heart attack victim. These are the sarcomeres, and these are the phosphate layers, which, you know, they agree they're there, and they are the exact same components that are in DNA and RNA and uracil and everything that's in our body. And they say maybe that came and brought it to Earth. No, this is a heart. It's out there. I don't know. They talk about battles in the heavens. Jesus said we live on a corpse, or live on corpses. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not arguing with Jesus. And here it is. It's the heart. You see that? These are the valves. These aren't impacts. This one happens to be psyche. But it's identical, all that cluster of heart valves. The top of the heart from here up pops off, and it does it because iron banding, shown on it a zillion times, they oppose each other, and the whole top just pops right off, and you end up with this. So you got valves clustered together. All right, this is Bennu. This is the potato shape that they claim has. That's the bottom of the heart. And here's all the valves. There's one big one here, one here, one here, and one here. Now, I just drew that on this piece. I'm going to take it away. Remember where these are, and I'll explain it again. There's one right there. There's another big one right here. There's a smaller one right here. And there's a big one right here. All right, take your time and look at it. And so these are the valves, and it goes down here, and here's the bottom of the heart. And these are the big valves where it pumps the blood and it pushes out and so forth. These are valves. And they landed on here somewhere, and they went in way deep down, and they grabbed a chunk of stuff and came back with it, and it's actually heart muscle. And there it is right there. It's the exact same stuff as this. And it has the exact same chemistry. Nobody's arguing this. It's got the uracil. It's got all the amino acids. They don't just show up for nowhere. It's got RNA, it's got DNA. I believe the DNA is there as well. I'm not sure how sophisticated, how complete it is. It's got the phosphate surprise. They never realized there would be phosphate layers in here. And the phosphate layers are phospholipid membranes. They end up being phosphates. They know all this. This is not a mystery anymore. It's just the ability for the human mind to allow it to sink in. These are the muscle fibers. These are sarcomeres, and they're exactly identical to what they brought back here. And it has the same chemistry. It's not like there's anything that's wrong here. Everything points to that it's a heart. And it has the valves and all of that stuff. And they agree with everything I'm saying. If I made one statement that they don't agree with, the only statement I made is it can't be a heart. It is a heart, and it's a gigantic heart. And this one is even bigger. This one here is a psyche, it's called. And this thing is absolutely phenomenally gigantic. But before, what I was showing you was the valves right at the top of Bennu, and then coming down to the little dip down the bottom, just like that. And the valves are right there. And there it is right here. The valves are up here, and that's the bottom of the heart. So we need to really start looking at this. I mean, this is billions of dollars they're spending here. And they agree, but they just can't get their heads around the reality of the universe that we live in is biological. That's biological out in space. Psyche is biological. All of them now. And they just had another report. They said they found all the DNA finally in all the asteroids and meteorites that they tested. You see, they say, yes, meteorites, especially carbonaceous chondrites like Murchison, are rich in amino acids. With all the amino acids, everything that's in us is in them, proving complex organic molecules exist beyond Earth, suggesting the building blocks for life were delivered to early Earth. No, they're just out there because they're biological body parts from gigantic creatures. That's it. You see, this all life's building blocks found in meteorites. First time scientists have detected all 5 DNA, RNA nucleobases. They don't just come from nowhere. And this is a lung that came through space. It smelted enough to make it magnetic, to make it attract magnets. but it didn't completely melt into a total mass of metal. All right, all these little holes are from where there was alveoli, and they explode outwards because the alveoli, the heat pops them out. And at the same time, it smelts the iron into a point of where it becomes, attractive to magnets. Now, this is a little tiny meteorite. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. And there's blood in here, and I've done a catalase test and shown that there's a ton of catalase. There's actually red, raw blood in here. And it's not uncommon. Virtually all of them have red blood and also vein blood in them. All right, I'm not exactly sure what this was. It could have been a heart. You twist it this way, that's the bottom of the heart. You have black and you have red, which is the two different chambers of the blood. That's possible. But that's definitely black and red blood. And that's in an iron meteorite. What's that doing there? You see the red? You see the black? All these different crystallizations are different types of metals that flocculate together as they smelt. All right, so the meteorites, when there's a lot of blood in them, and there's a lot of blood in hearts, lungs, livers, that type of stuff. I have other ones here, rocky meteorites. There's no blood in them at all, hardly, but they're rocky. Now, the other ones are chondrites, chondrules and chondrites. And I'll show you that right here. Where is it? Here, this type here. See, chondrules? Those little balls, this is from skin. This is on skin. I know, it sounds crazy. That's blood, that's an artery. Oldest solid material in the solar system. Who came up with that? These little balls are what is in skin, and it makes it return to where the skin is supposed to be until you get old, and then it doesn't do the job quite as well. But when you're young, it brings everything back to where it's supposed to be. This is what we're just looking at. Chondrules. They're nothing more than the balls that are in your skin. And those balls, this is a very simplistic look, are these balls here. And that allows you to stretch this way and stretch that way and stretch this way, but they come back to where the balls are. And then there's a little bit of spring action here, and then there's some real fluidy stuff, that rubbery, basically. And these balls are these balls. And the same as these balls. These are the Moki marbles. I'm not making this stuff up. This is true. People can't get their heads around it. It's not my fault. Those balls are coming from the wall as it erodes. They just drop. They're not just growing here for no reason as stromatolites. No. What they got there is these balls are covered with something edible, because all this stuff is eating the edible stuff that's surrounding all these balls. When they were in a wall, they were anchored, and they all had all little divots in them, basically, and that's where they anchored. And then there's a whole batch of flesh-ish stuff on there. Now the rest, the red stuff, just turns into mud, and there's the mud. The white skin just drops down. That's what you got right here. And as soon as they ate all the fleshy stuff off of here, and there was nothing left to eat, you would have these. Nothing but they're hard marbles. Moki marbles. I know this is a lot to take in, but it's true. And if something's true, it should be investigated. If there's this kind of evidence, it should be investigated. And if we're looking around in space for everything, and we don't even know what's out in space, that doesn't make sense. And we certainly don't know what's on Mars. Mars is the Mars Moki marbles. I mean, the Mars blueberries are the same as the Moki marble, identical. There's the Mars Morse code, which is exactly like this. There's the I have a bunch of stuff from Mars. There's the Mars crab, which is nothing more than what I showed here, this here somewhere. Well, I can't find, here it is. It's nothing more than these, only the legs are sticking out because they didn't get eroded enough. And that is the same stuff. I have virtually everything they have on Mars here right in my shop. They're a little smaller. So it's time to take a look at this in a whole new light. It's not right to just say, oh, this guy's crazy, it's too much. It's too much for a lot of people's minds. That I do not agree with. I do not disagree with. However, if you want to live in a reality, truth is where it begins. You don't have truth, you just take anything anybody says to you and walk around in circles for all your whole life. That's fine with me, it's up to you. But if you look at this stuff and investigate it, which you should seek. As a matter of fact, let me show you how something else Jesus said. Now this is from the Nag Hammadi text. Undisturbed for 2,000 years, hidden so they wouldn't be destroyed, and these are all supposedly the secret sayings of Jesus. Number 2, Jesus said, those who seek should not stop seeking until they find. When they find, they will be disturbed. Yes. When they are disturbed, they will marvel. Yes. And that's what we're in the phase of now, marveling. And it is disturbing. I'm not saying it's not. This whole thing throws everything up in the air that you thought in your whole life. There's not a single thing that we were taught that is now reliable. And it's starting to be a problem because people won't, the people that I've seen and shown this stuff to, they realize how deceptive academia is, and they're starting to discount virtually everything. So I don't discount everything. I go to a point where I understand by recognizing and seeking. It's called logos. It's understanding by the knowledge of reasoning. You have to reason. If you don't reason, you just accept. And when you accept, you're in for trouble, because right now, most of what you're being taught is not true. It's just totally not true. And, in my opinion, it's understood that it's not true, and it's being presented as truth for self-preservation of the people that are bringing all these, stories to you that just aren't true. And it's very upsetting both ways. How can they tell us these things, and nobody's that incompetent that they can miss this? So that's one part that's disturbing, and the other part is this stuff is pretty disturbing on its own. So I love you all. So all I can do is show you what's real and what isn't real, and you make your own decision. I'm going to claim what's real by my evidence. You can make any opinion you want as long as you have evidence to support it, but I would go with evidence. But again, that's my opinion. Thank you. Have a sterling day.